What you looking at? I know, right? Not even 4 o'clock and we're into the twilight. What the crap? I don't know why I picked up the camera. It's not really time to start vlogging, but I was going to do some things, so I guess it might be vlog worthy. I'm really just going to do some picking up. Gotta get rid of some plants that didn't make it through the hard freeze. It's like I could cut back the gingers, and I'd say these mums they're done. They don't look good anymore. This one, it still has some hope. Some potential still there. Just needs to be deadheaded. Clean it up. You know, it'd be easier to do with a pair of snips. It's kind of a tough mum. Usually these things pop right off. I just have to be careful because if I go and I pull too hard and I squish the flower next to it, and that flower gets all bruised up and ends up looking pretty bad. Defeats the whole purpose. If you end up bruising the flowers, these things are so freaking delicate. That's why I don't bother with mums. At least, sometimes I do. Some years I go all out. But it's been a few years, but these things, they went on sale 5 for $25 for these great big, massive, I mean, look how freaking big that is. So all these, it was only $25. I said, okay, I'll do mums for $25. Got about a month out of them. That's not too bad. Another reason I don't fuss with mums all that often is just because you don't get a ton of time with them, but they somehow, at least these two, they weren't really bothered by that cold snap. So they're good, but not these. These look awful. Yeah, this one, are there any buds in there? No, it's done. Yeah, so there are options. These are a garden mum, so you could, oh, I just kicked a seashell right into the pool. So I was saying, you could, if you wanted to, go ahead and plant them up. I don't do that. I just don't have the sun for mums. So they end up going back in the garden bed. They'll break apart and just become food for the plants. Apparently that has become a trash can. Just now. Just happened. Things were getting cluttered over here anyways, so looking forward to getting these out of here. Oh, well, I'll scoop that up. Give that back to the garden too. Okay, I'll get in there and break those up with a shovel sometime this weekend. Something on those mums, I mean, real itchy. I think that already looks better. There's just too much going on over here. These begonias, ooh, that would need some fresh soil. It actually might just need a full-on repot. This entire rhizome is sticking up out of the soil. Well, I really don't want to repot a begonia this time of year. Gonna have to think on that one. This lemon cypress got blown over. I need to clean this up. I'm not gonna want to take that inside for the holidays when it's looking all nasty and crunchy. Oh, this isn't that bad. That's not that bad. It's nothing I can't clean up with a pair of scissors. Cut that off of it. Some of that. Grown at a slight angle. Because, like I mentioned, don't have a ton of sun out here. No. Debating. I don't know. I think this might be better off going into the ground than going into the house. They're a zone 7. We're 6B, 7A, right on the line. I got this one last year during the holidays, and I figured, oh, well, I'll take care of it during the summer and bring it back in during the winter, but I'm not going to want that shape inside. I don't think that looks very good. There's not time to get that corrected. I guess you just leave it like that for a few days and see if it decides to shift its growth. Sometimes it doesn't take that long for them to do that. All right, you can do that. I'm going to grab a different pot for it. Some fresh soil. Give it a nice watering. I'm trying to find something that'll look good in the house. Okay, dropping you into the tripod here. Oh, wrong way, bedding! That's not a fair angle for anybody. And I need to find my potting things. I just repotted this beautiful fern. Don't you just love this? This is an autumn brilliance fern. I was trying that out in the house and it was doing surprisingly well indoors, so I did a video about it. Okay. Let's see here. Potting mix. I think I have a pot down here, which, well, I've been using as a waste can, but I think it would be fine for this cypress. It needs to be cleaned off, though. I'm going to go clean that up. I just spent like 5 minutes trying to find my phone. Totally forgot that I was using my phone to record today. I just did it again. 45 seconds after saying that, I was like, wait, where'd it go? Where's my... It's right here. Okay. This is about as clean as that's going to get. I gave it a scrub. I'm having second thoughts on the white terracotta moving forward. When I bought this and a few others, I was like, oh, that'll be great for spring and during the holidays. But what I didn't take into account was that well, it was gonna get filthy. And I look at that, it's not bad, but when I look at this, I know that that's not supposed to be there. All those little spots. I don't know if these are going to patina in age. That looks bad. The way that you would get out of a normal clay container. I don't know. Oh, jeez. Okay. Sorry about that. That was me getting flustered because my phone was ringing for like the 50th time in the last hour. It has just been going nonstop today and driving me crazy. I'm not a phone person. Not one bit. And I'm dating somebody who is a phone person. And we've discussed this, that it's not a personal thing. You know, the whole entire, it's not you, it's me. It's true in this situation. It's not them, but oh my gosh. Like, I don't need to talk on the phone all the time. Not over every little thing. I just don't have that much to say. Says the person who sometimes has vlogs that are an hour and a half long with next to nothing happening in them. I don't know. It's different when we're nerding out over the plants. You know what I mean? Okay. Anyways, feel like I'm done making myself sound like an asshole who prefers talking to the people on YouTube instead of the person they're dating. What the heck? Not what I meant at all. It's just, you know, there's just something different about talking on the phone. It's not talking on the phone, it's the constant, oh, is my phone about to ring? Of course it is, because it rings 50 times a day. I don't like being tethered to my devices, is more what it is than a phone thing. Also just remembered, I'm not mic'd up, and the speaker, or the microphone, is on the opposite side of me, so great start with the audio there. Hopefully that hasn't been absolutely ridiculous. Not much to it. I just put an all-purpose potting mix in here. It does have some extra sand added into it. These don't ever want to sit in a wet, soggy soil, so it needs to drain really well. But it's just an all-purpose mix. There's, like I said, there's nothing special going on there. I'm going to come in and clean it up because, well, you know, all of that. I think, yeah, I might just, whoa, sorry, banging you guys around. Just clean up the lower portion of this trunk altogether. These scissors suck. I got them from Daiso, and I was impressed. Like, oh, for $3, these are pretty good. But now that I've had them for a month, they're not very strong. They do this. I keep bumping the camera. See that? The scissors shouldn't do that. All right, I'm thinking this guy right here will come off. Try and do these things slowly because I tend to get scissor happy. I don't know, overly into the pruning sometimes, and the next thing you know, you've gone too far and you end up setting things back. I don't want to do that. One thing I do like about these cypresses, is that usually when they get those big brown patches, you can just crumble between your fingers and all those needles will fall off. And just doing that does make them look much, much, much nicer. I do have some holly tone, but I just don't think this is the appropriate time of year for that. Oh yeah, that looks so much better, doesn't it? It actually does. That does look better. I am going to get this back outside, water it in, and face it away from the sun. And I would imagine that actually probably will correct fairly quickly. And then it'll be ready to come inside for the holidays. Do you like how I cleaned the pot out, scrubbed it and everything, and then set it down inside of a big bin full of dirt? You know what? While we're out here, I have some Amaryllis that need to be potted up. Should have done that weeks ago. May as well. I'm going to get my microphone first, though, so we can even out the sound. It's probably not actually a problem, but in my head, I'm just ruining everything. All right. I have a whole bunch of pots here to choose from. In years past, I've put all my Amaryllis, like I do a big arrangement with them. I don't think I want to do that this year. It just, I don't know, it's not speaking to me. That and I don't have space for the big bowls. So I think maybe everything's going to get its own pot. Do any of these have a hole? This one has a hole. No hole. What is this? Metal? It feels like it's kind of metal-ish. Metal-esque. Okay, well this is too small. I mean, I could put an Amaryllis in there, but it's going to be all floppy. I don't want to mess with that. This I tend to use more as a cache pot for poinsettias. Maybe I'll just hold on to those. Alright, that means pine cone is the winner. I gotta drill a hole in the bottom of that first. Where am I gonna set this? I don't want to get dirt all in my chair. I use this guy right here. Give that a squirt. Then a diamond bit right here. start at an angle, very slowly at an angle. When it feels like it's taking grip, I flatten it out, and I go through and I adjust the pressure like so, while squirting water in there. You get it? I'm not going to do it on camera. It makes too much noise. Quick, easy, didn't take too much water. Yeah, there we go. Amaryllis need good drainage. That is very important. So I have two, I think I have a third pot down here on the ground that I can use. I think it actually might be nice not having them all in one container this year, right? Be able to spread them around the house. These are the Samba. The fairly common one, these get big. They're nice big jumbo size bulbs. What does that say? 32 to 34. Okay, so extra large. I think jumbos are usually just over 34. And, well, they're pretty straightforward with Amaryllis. They want a nice well-drained soil. And want to make sure that about the top third to 2/3, or half, really, of the bulb is sticking up above the soil. So with this one, like that, I'll have the soil to right around there. Let that neck stick up nice and high. That air being around the top of the bulb is very important. Sometimes, if I'm planting up a lot, I'll even put like a cup or something over the middle, because they really don't want moisture in the middle part right there. And they're not demanding of much of anything, right? The bulb has everything this plant needs to get it flowering. When it's done flowering, applying some bulb tone, making sure they have plenty of sunlight. That would be a good idea. That soil settled a little bit more than I thought it would. I can lift that up, pack a little bit more underneath it. I like the way it looks when the bulb is just barely visible from the top of the pot. Purely an aesthetic thing. Yep, they bloom all different times of the year. It would have been best to have gotten this potted up probably back in late September to mid-October, but I didn't even have them yet. And then I was out of town at the end of the month when they arrived, so they sat around for a while. But that's okay. Even if they bloom after the holidays, that's all right. They're still really pretty. They're nice looking plants. Although that might be a good reason to plant this in a cash pot, not in a holiday pot. Didn't think about that. Or to, you know what I mean, put it in a cash pot that I just dropped into this container because of the holidays. Huh. I'm not sure. Screw it. We're just gonna go with it. It's fine. I didn't mention something probably pretty important. You might want to know what this one looks like, right? The Samba has a really nice, big, vibrant red flower that has a white outline of the petal, and then there's some white streaks on the inside. It just kind of has a classic Christmas look to it. But, like I said, these will probably be blooming after Christmas, and I don't know, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. I'll probably lift it up just a little bit more. Wish I had something to top dress that one with. I threw out all of my moss because I've had it for a long time. I bought it in bulk, and it had started to brown up, and it was torn to shreds from the squirrels and the chipmunks, and I said, oh, I'll order some more. And I never did. But I should probably get on top of that, because I think these things always look better when they're top dressed with something. Sometimes I've used the tiny little Christmas ornaments to top dress these containers, and I think that that looks really, really cute. Or pine cones. There's all kinds of options, but I don't really have any of those options right now. Okay, this is the next container. It also doesn't have a hole. I'm hesitant to drill into it because, well, you can see this container has seen better days. It's been glued back together. I don't know. Let's go ahead and just give it a try. I really prefer my containers to all have drainage in them regardless, so we'll just see what happens. Alright, I don't know what the heck is inside this pot, but that might be the hardest drilling I've ever had to do in one of these containers. That took a while, which also might just need to buy a new bit. Sometimes that's the case. Well, it just kind of has a thick bottom. Yeah, thick bottom pot, but I've drilled through containers much thicker than that. Much, much, much thicker than this one. Okay, oh wow, look at how perfectly centered that is. Wonderful. Well, good thing nobody's looking at the pot from the bottom, right? Okay, get that in there. Some of this. Last one. I have a whole bunch of other Amaryllis that I have overwintered, or I don't know, oversummered. One's from last year. And I'm pretty surprised that I'm not getting buds out of them yet. There's a whole process of steps to take to induce blooming on them. But ultimately what it comes down to is you give them a dark and a cool period, and then you put them back into the light. Cut them back, and then put them back into the light. I don't know, I did that. They got 2 months of it, but I'm not seeing any buds on them. And usually they've budded up by now. I don't know what's going to happen with them this year. Everything's been really weird. We had that drought this year, and that's thrown every single plant off. I have some trees that have even pushed out some buds because they are a last-ditch effort to survive, I suppose. That can happen sometimes. And those Amaryllis were outside, and I did not have them where my irrigation was hitting them, but I had them in like the dark, dark shade because you want them to dry out. You want them to experience dormancy, essentially. That's all that is. And I don't know. Never been a problem before. So they didn't experience any more of a drought this year than they have in years past because I stopped watering them. I'm trying to induce them into blooming. Alright, hey, this is good. Like I said, wish I had done a few weeks ago, but I didn't have them a few weeks ago. I will top dress them with something, but it's just gonna have to wait. I'll have to go find something. When it comes to watering them, I already mentioned, I like to make sure that there's never any water getting into the middle. Right in there, that can rot them out. When they're in super active growth, say during the summer, maybe you have them outside, it's not a big deal. You can just get water all over them. But inside, where you don't have that airflow and temperatures are cooler, it can be the kiss of death for them, especially when they're all nubbed back like this, right? And it's just a great big opening, just full of, full of crinkles and wrinkles for the moisture to get into. It's not a great idea. If you can grow them outside, say if you're zone 8, and south of that, warmer than that, then you don't need to plant them up high like this. This is just something we do for indoor cultivation. Outside, you just drop this whole thing in the ground. You can bury it all the way down, and it'll grow up and should be totally fine. But indoors, it's just better to have a good amount of this bulb exposed because they're just so prone to rot when they don't have their outdoor conditions that they really prefer to have. So when it comes to watering them in, I'm going to water them very carefully around the edge, mostly just to settle the soil, and that's about it. I don't do much with my Amaryllis, period, until I start to see a good amount of growth out of them. So once their buds are sticking up and, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches high, I'm seeing that movement, and that's where I'm really going to start monitoring them. I'll be monitoring, make sure the soil's never bone dry, but just slightly consistently moist. Does that make sense? Sometimes it's hard to explain watering. Just don't let them sit in water, and they can dry out a decent amount when they're like this. Don't worry about fertilizing. They don't need it until after they've flowered. Okay, moving on. I have a few others. Oh, and if you do get water in the middle, it doesn't mean they're immediately going to die, but maybe get a paper towel, try and dab some of that out, set them someplace where there's a good airflow around the plant. They'll probably be fine. But it's just, you know, a precautionary thing. Don't dump water right into the middle of the bulb. I really like this pot. I remember when I was at the nursery and I saw this container, I was like, I don't know if I like that. But I went and I bought it, just because I thought during the holidays I would enjoy this. And so far, for many, many years, I really have. Is there a label? No, that's long gone. There's nothing written on the bottom. I really don't remember. I think I got it from Greenscape, which is a local nursery here in St. Louis, but I don't remember. This is going to look a lot better when it's top dressed. Could do gravel, I suppose, but I'd rather do something more fun than that. So I'll probably put a whole bunch of those little mini ornaments. I have tons of those. My cat Pumpkin, it's like the only thing in the world she plays with are those little plastic, like the tiny ornaments. Those are her favorite things. So I have tons of them. Every year I stock up on more and more and more for her to lose under the furniture. Okay, there are still a couple left. So these are older ones that I've had for a while that I didn't pull from their dormancy quite in time. So they need a little bit more TLC. Not much. I just want to come in and remove some of the paper on them. These were outside. They grew all summer long. I let them die back, and now they need to be replanted. The other ones I have just left in their containers, but this one I pulled up and out. I think because I divided a bulb off of it, if I'm remembering correctly. And I don't remember which one this is. I'm not going to remember that until it blooms, unfortunately. But I know this one is okay. There's no squish, no give to it. And the top up there looks pretty good. Is there a hole in here? No, I just set it in this container because I had some rocks in it. I think I was using those in a different video to top dress a container. Well, shoot, not prepared again. Need to find another pot. You know what? I'm just gonna go plastic, and that's fine because I can set it inside of another container. Just do the whole cash pot thing with it. That'll be fine. This one, I believe, is a Amaryllis. It's called Santiago. Is it Santiago or Santino? I don't remember. That was a terrible zoom. Sorry about that. I think it was Santiago. So it is a fragrant Amaryllis. I got this several years ago. It's been on the channel. Talked about it when I first got it, just because the fragrance isn't something you normally go for or see when you're shopping for an Amaryllis. And I thought that was pretty cool. The fragrance, from what I remember, was very, very mild. I always had these set back in my garden window, so I don't ever remember what they smell like. It's not very helpful, I'm sorry. Okay, and then this guy right here. Look at that. This one, it's a beast. It's a very big one. I got this one last year, and I don't remember its name either, but it was a really nice special one. Very special Amaryllis, because I think it had some of the biggest flowers on it I had ever seen on an Amaryllis. Just huge. They're like that big around, which I don't know, it's probably 5.5 inches to 6 inches across, and the bloom stalk just went up. I want to say it's probably 3 feet high. Just an amazing, amazing plant. So when that one finished blooming, where did my scissors go? I let it grow its foliage out, and then I sprinkled some bulb tone and around the top of this pot, and it got moved out with my houseplants during the summer. Grew up until around August or September, and then I stuck it back into that dark area where they weren't going to hit the sprinklers, anything like that. I let them take some cool. Our fall here was unusually warm, so that might have been part of the problem. Why I haven't gotten any buds out of them yet might just be because they didn't get the cool that they really maybe prefer to get. Oh, there's a fine line there though, right? We had plenty of nights in the 40s, but maybe not enough. I think it's running like 6 to 8 weeks of cool and dark. And they definitely got the 8 weeks of the dark. It's gonna be pitch black, but just low light conditions. Preferably dark, like they would have if they were to die back and have a dormancy underground, right? But I don't usually have to do that. Usually they just keep doing their thing and they're fine. I think this one should probably just get some fresh... Actually, you know what? This is nice and firm. That's still a nice, strong, healthy bulb. I was going to pot it up into a fresh mix, but it doesn't need it right now. When it's done flowering, then it needs a fresh mix. But right now, if it is going to go ahead and shoot up some buds, then it's going to do that with all the energy that's reserved down there inside the bulb. So, and probably just go ahead and leave that. If I were suspecting rot on either one of those, any of Amaryllis period, there are a few options. You can sprinkle some cinnamon in there. That helps dry things out. Copper-based fungicides, you can spray that in there. Peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, you can use, but I don't always do that because you need to flush that out. If you don't remember to do that, it can just, it can just continue to happen. Or sulfur powder, which is, I think, what most people do as a go-to for bulbs. I don't do it very often because it is toxic. You need to be careful with it. So usually I just go with a copper-based fungicide. This isn't mushy on the inside. I think it's okay. It's just not in the most attractive setup right now. But maybe it'll fit. No, that's not going to work. No way. This would work, but I really was holding on to this one for the poinsettias. Yeah. I have a pot inside that I'll put this in, and it'll be fine in that one. It's a urn-shaped container. Has a pretty pattern on it. Main thing is that it's been cleaned off, and this one, though, I should find something more attractive to put it in. But as far as the Amaryllis... Oh, sorry. That was loud. As far as the Amaryllis are concerned, I say we can wrap that up. These are taken care of. I do have some more to tend to, but I'm just going to be doing the same thing I just did with all of these. Okay, yeah, that's going to do it for the Amaryllis portion of this video. I don't know what we're going to do next. I didn't do things in the correct order because, well, now it's dark outside, and I need to do some things outdoors. I need to do some cleaning in here. We're not going to bore you with picking up like the things that people have been leaving out here. My Pellegrinos and Bays soda pops. So, yeah, I think it's supposed to be pretty nice this weekend. Maybe we'll get outside and get some stuff planted. Come on. That thing is stubborn. Got it. We had a very unexpected cold last night. I don't remember what was happening prior to this. Is it the Amaryllis? I think so. That was like a day or two ago. It was forecasted to get down to 44. Instead, it got down to 29. So what was left of those heliconias, they're done. No more. Nothing left, which is fine. I had so many of them. I wasn't intending on bringing all of those in. I was hoping to bring in a couple of them. And I have all my beautiful Southern Living begonias out here. Aren't they so lovely? So I got these late in the season. That's why I didn't plant them. They're marginally, I'm going to say marginally hardy. I don't even know if they'll be hardy here. Sterling Moon, one of the lunar lights, begonias, 2.5 feet high by wide. They're rated as a 7 through 9. So I'm a fake 7. 6B, according to the new thing, 7A. Yet it drops below 0 every year. We just have enough very warm, mild days during the winter to offset that for an average. So, I don't know. There are a lot of begonias that are pretty dang hardy, though. So I thought I would order these and just we'd see what happened. But it'd have to wait a while, right? It doesn't make sense to put them in the ground in the fall. They're marginally hardy. If I were to do that, the way to go about it would be to get them planted up and to put a ton of mulch on top of them. Like a ton. I suppose I could still do that, but it doesn't seem like a good idea. But yeah, the whole point of that story there was that I would move them in. I love them so much. They're so precious. They've already been through some stuff with that drought that we had. Not that the begonias were throwing that much of a fit during the drought. I was the one throwing a fit when I would fall behind on watering. Gardenias had enough. I need to come in here and cut a bunch of these things down. Not doing that right now. I'm all like, I got my clothes on, getting ready to go out and do some things, but thought I would mention that in case I forget that we had this random cold snap and go, oh, what happened to the plant? Well, that's what happened. I can look back and remember now. And then I had forgotten 2 of the mums. I did all that. I had forgotten 2 of these. This one's still pretty good. That other one was pretty brown. This one, yeah, this is one of those nice ones. Huh. Maybe I could put... No. Sorry about that. I was reloading. I'm going to set them over here with some of the perennials. Just because I feel wasteful throwing all of them away. And I have a spot in the front where I think I could squeeze one. I just don't have the room for mums in the very few spots I have that have sun. Is the machete still out here? Because this is just... It's a mess. But again, I'm supposed to be leaving to go somewhere, so I suppose I should wait till late. I really want to do it now, though. Just go in and just cut the tops off of some of them. Let's make it look nicer. One-handed machete stuff. Machete. Well, that's a cuter name. One-handed machete work going on over here while wearing sandals. Don't do what I do. Ever. Oh, it's frozen. Good to know. Let's try with the other hand. There we go. Have to go in harder. Easy enough to do. Hey, there's that Hollywood, whoever, what are you? Showstopper height. What is this? Showtime Holly? I think is what that one's called. Pretty sure that's what it was called. Now we're getting back here into where that frickin' clematis was. It's really hard to do stuff around that plant. I also need to watch out for the rose bush around here somewhere that I do not want on my body. Cut. Step them through here. There's only a few left. What is that? Oh, it's a balloon. Left over from the birthday party. There we go. Okay. So some people save these parts. You can dry up the leaves and use them. Alright, that one's much more frozen. Dry the leaves, crumble them up, use them as mulch. I tend to not do that, but it is an option. I just don't do it because you really got to shred them up or else they create a mat on top of everything and it just gets wet and soggy and gross. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. Once I go in and actually pull the stuff out and take them to the bin for the yard waste, that'll look a lot better. I'm at Menards, that's all. Nothing else to say, just thought I'd show you guys how great the plants are looking. So many spider mites. That's the reason I never get anything from Menards. It's just that Menards. I haven't noticed that at the other one, but I've only been to the other one like twice. Not the best frame of reference there, right? But yet there's just always spider mites. For the last year, at least. For me, because I didn't really go to Menards until like a year ago. But I started going there more often, and just it sucks. They have a great plant selection and beautiful plants. Nice big ones. They had these big, nearly 6 foot tall Dracaenas. The the braided kind you put out just like a floor plant. Not Reflexa. The really what is it? Marginata, I had to look it up. Ever happened to you? Everything's going great, then all of a sudden your brain's just like, nah, not doing it. There are a lot of plants. That's a lot of stuff to keep straight in the noggin. Hey, Bunkin, what you doing? Oh, it's a nice big meow. Yeah, beautiful houseplants, reasonable prices, just riddled with spider mites, my location. Look what I got. I did also get a plant. I'll bring it in, you'll see it, but I thought this was fun. You know, let's add some tacky to Christmas. Let's add some more tacky to Christmas. Why not? I am not understanding social media and the holidays right now. All this Ralph Lauren Christmas, and there's designers saying, 10 things you should never do. Do whatever you want. That's always driven me crazy. People with design rules. If it makes you happy, do it. I understand some people need some guidance. Or, always second guessing, questioning their decisions. So it can help, I suppose, to see those sorts of things. But, I mean, come on. It's Christmas. You just put out your gaudy gingerbread things or your pine cones or your Pottery Barn tree. Who cares? Suppose that's just me. I just think it's silly when something that's meant for children becomes something that people are trying to get clout over and rage baiting people over and monetizing off of. I'd have no affiliate links with Menards or anybody for the most part. Not often, but I do. Ah, there he is. That's weird. I love when the plugs are really big and bulky and they stick out really far, so you can't just have them sitting in an outlet properly. Whatever's around the outlet has to be pulled out really far from it. I suppose safety-wise, that's probably a good thing. Probably not supposed to have things too close to the outlets. Is it prancing and running? Maybe. It probably looks a lot better in the dark. Yeah, that's probably a it needs to be dark kind of thing. Let's hope. Anyways, I do have a plant. Sorry, kitten. Have a plant out in the car. I'm going to go get it, bring it in, have a look at it. And maybe it's more work than outside. It's been raining, which is just lovely and nice. Turbo, you want to go on a car ride? Let's go on a car ride. Oh, I just made him really happy. The car's parked in the street. I had to move it, so he's going to get to go on the car ride where I take the car from the street back into the driveway. Isn't it exciting? My goodness, I wish I was a dog. He just had the best day of his life. Oh, here it is. Gosh, it feels like spring outside. It definitely doesn't look like it, though. Oh, warm and humid. I don't like it. I mean, it is nice, but it did. That's why I have to paint the door so much, probably. I do that all the time. Had never put those dots together. Maybe just stop using my foot to close the door. Not necessarily a great thing for it to feel nice this time of year. We had the cold. We've had a few hard freezes, and well, it can trigger the plants. Right? There are plants that are moving into dormancy, and it can make them want to go, oh, we need to flower or do something, especially because we have drought stress on top of it. I'm glad I don't have any crops. That would be a problem. Fruiting trees, apples, and I do have apples, but it's fine. They're mostly decorative. Good thing I brought my olive inside. I'll leave that as it is. It's going to throw some people off, and that's the fun of it. Anyways, here it is. It's a poinsettia. My favorite is the variegated, and some years I can't find them. I think it's a bit early to have them, but it's all right. They make for a pretty easy houseplant. The best tip I could ever give for poinsettia care is don't mess with them. Just find a good spot for them and leave them alone. No drafts. They don't want to sit in water. They don't want to dry out for too terribly long either. Really let them go about 50% of the way if you want, or try and keep them consistently moist. Just never let them sit in water. If you have a more dry climate, then you want to make sure that soil does stay consistently moist. It's humid-ish here where I live. Not very humid, but more humid than other areas. So I usually can go about, it's about every 10 days I have to water them. And that'll usually do it. I did find last year, I tried something new, which was to do that old thing that none of us do anymore, is to rotate the plant every so often. The only reason I was doing that is because I always have a ton of leaf drop on my poinsettias. I keep wanting to call these Amaryllis. That's not what's going on here. Not what these are. Because, well, I don't know why there's a lot of leaf drop, but my theory has been that they're just sitting still for a very long time. And I do tend to put them in places where they're not getting the appropriate light. They do want bright light. So they don't get that when I have them in the other room. But I did notice that when I rotated them, like once a week, maybe every 3 or 4 days, which would be once a week, that did help some with the leaf drop. So I guess I think it's just probably them having some movement or changing up the airflow. I don't really know what that's about. This is going to be a problem. I have to find a different place to keep this poinsettia. It's not going to stay right here. As far as the toxicity goes, it's something everybody always talks about. It's an irritant, and the sap can be very bad for you, so you don't want to ingest that in large quantities, especially if you have, kidney problems or other things. It's just something like, just don't eat it. There are always people who go, oh, it's fine. There's like some idiot on YouTube who ate it like a salad, setting a great example for people. My main concern is my pets and little ones, so I always just say curious mouths, keep them away. There are far, far, far more toxic and deadly houseplants, though. Sago palm, nope, won't keep those in my house. Not worth the risk. So there it is. Isn't it just beautiful? I think they're fun. They're usually pretty easy. That one has good stripage on it. I don't know if I'll be getting many of them this year. I saw the one and I was like, oh, well, that makes me happy. I might be content with just the one. As I'm saying it, I know that it's not true. I thought it was really nice that I really enjoy the pot that came in. Usually, listen, I'm wrapping, I'm doing Christmas stuff. There's a lot going on. Don't judge me. Just kidding. Judge away. I don't care. What was I saying? Oh, I don't usually like the container that comes with those poinsettias. Usually it's just wrapped in foil, which is a pain, though it can be convenient for watering. I say that because when they're in the foil, you can give them a drink and let them sit in it for, 15 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. Sometimes I'll go ahead and cook a meal, eat dinner, come back, and then drain that water out of the foil. It can just be a nice reservoir to help bottom water the plant. I don't mind it in that scenario. I don't think they're all that attractive. This pot actually looks kind of cute. I don't mind that at all. But I have these other containers here, and I think that it might look nice in one of those. I could do a lemon cypress, I suppose, and a cyclamen. And the other one, if I can find them, lemon cypress were very scarce last year. Let's see. Oh, that's a perfect fit. Well, kind of. It sticks up a smidge, but that's okay. This would be better for watering because this pot that the poinsettia is in does not go down to the bottom. So it's like a cache pot. So it's resting on top of a little piece of styrofoam in there. So some water can sit down below and provide some humidity down below the bottom of the plant, below the roots. And in turn would have to water it less often, which would be nice. How long do these things keep? Do y'all know? The pumpkins on a stick? They dried very, very nicely. I mean, kind of. I use these for Halloween, so I think that these are perfect for Halloween, but I'm just wondering if I should bother. I'm going to try and get some seeds out of some. Actually, I haven't really thought about it. They might, I don't know if they dried right. They still have some squish to them. I don't know much about those. I just thought they looked cool, but I need to wrap them up carefully and put them away. This looks okay, but we have other options. You've already seen these. Actually, these are really cute. This is going to make the decision a lot harder. These guys right here. This is the pot that I traditionally put a poinsettia in. I'm trying to do this quietly. I feel like it's going to be really loud. There we go. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just become a tradition that I put a poinsettia in there. It's just, I don't know, like gingerbready? Maybe? I just like it for the holidays. Just a brown pot. Doesn't need to be for the holidays. I think the whatever's going on with that, it's like a nutcracker chest. That's probably way too big. Oh, but it does look nice. That's nice. Even just set all the way down in there. I could put the piece of styro that's in here in the bottom of this to lift it up for the same purposes I was talking about with the other one. I don't want to break from tradition. I think that something green in here would be nice too, like a little pine or something, or even, I might use it for like cattaways. Oh, that was loud. I'm sorry. Trying to be quiet here. And this one's just, yep, that's the one. That's the one. I don't know how much time I just wasted in this video trying to pick out a pot to set my other potted plant in, but, well, there we have it. That looks good. I did like the way that fit with this styrofoam block on it, though. I'm going to put that underneath here. And then I want to stop moving this thing around so much because I am paranoid that I'm going to break the dang thing if I keep moving it all over the place. Is this plastic broken? this liner. Yeah, there's not much left to it. Okay, well, so this isn't really even going to act as a cash pot anymore, unless I put a plastic liner in there. So this will just help lift it up, which I don't think it really needs in this pot. But here we are, still talking about setting a plant inside of another pot. Nah, it was better without it. I can put another piece of plastic in there if I want to. I probably won't, though, because I'm pretty sure that I cut the hole in that plastic and in the bottom of the pots for a reason, so I can remember this thing and let water trickle on them to water them. So, I guess it would make sense to just leave it, right? Okay, alright, well now I got all kinds of pots to clean up and figure out what to do with. I hadn't taken into account when setting up a lot of the Christmas decorations that I like to squeeze a lot of plants inside of these things too, so... No, maybe I just won't do all that, because I have all those Amaryllis out in the grow space still. That I don't know what I'm going to do with. I'm going to wait for them to sprout up. I think they'll get sprouting faster in the grow space, and once I see the buds start to pop up, then I'll place them around the house. Okay, alright, that was nice. And yeah, I was going to, or was hoping, that today we could do some more stuff outside, but it's pretty wet. Got a lot of rain yesterday, and then again this morning, which has been nice for the humidity and everything, but everything's all wet and squishy. I'd just rather not. Okay, why have I never tried using a step bit before? Not on pottery. I'd never tried it on the pots. This is by far the best way to drill these pots. Neither here nor there with what's going on in the rest of the video, but I had to show you. Watch. Just look at it. It just goes through so carefully and slowly and gently. You can speed it up and bring back. I mean, it's like butter. I know that's probably loud, but you had to see it in real time. It works really, really well. The other bits that I've used, they tend to be more difficult because they... Oh, this is going to be tricky with one hand. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and try and just put a foot up here. There we go. All right. Okay, we can do this with one hand. It's doable. Oh, my bit came out. All right, it turned into a mess. I'm going to try it again. Better pressure, and since it moves through it so smoothly, you can turn it as it goes and bring it down the side. Of that, you couldn't see it, but that's how it worked. Wasn't that perfect? Oh, hey, bug. How you doing, gardening friend? Okay, we'll try again at a better angle so you can see what I'm talking about. Pop in there like that, and then I can come through and turn it. And it gets the corner. That's amazing. I'll just repeat in case that was way too loud. You can go in and then turn it and it just drills it out to the side. I like to have my holes on the sides of these, at least on really, really big containers, somewhat raised up on the edges too, just to guarantee that water is going to get out in case roots or something start to pack in that central hole. Seriously, use a step bit. In the future, when you're drilling out big containers, this is so much easier. I have the hiccups. Gosh, it's a mess this morning. The neighbors, there's some kind of ruckus going on up there. I'm not sure what they're doing. But, you know, it's good to be getting stuff done before winter gets here, right? Now I can set these pots up, right? They've been sitting out here, stacked on top of each other for a while. And that's been bugging me. And, well, I need to get these potted up, too. Planted up. Oh, gazpacho, how'd you get down there? All right. Oh, seen better days. Let's take that inside and give it a wash. And nephew is 15 months old. I'm sure he was playing with that thing. So one of these I'm going to need for my mule palm, and the other one I want to do a winter arrangement in, which I don't know if we call it a winter arrangement. That's what I'm going to call it. Something that'll last from November all the way through till, you know, May. And I'll probably stay permanent, you know, I'll probably leave everything that's in those containers, but I don't know. That's not for right now. It was just bugging me the way they were sitting. I think it would just look nicer if they were upright. Do you know what I mean? This one, I was just having so much fun with the drill that I started popping holes all over it. Oh, but you can see what I was talking about. By having the holes at where they go from the bottom and the bottom or the side there, I don't really know how to describe that, water can get out of there more easily in case things start to bubble up down below. Big plants with big roots, they tend to clog up container hole. So I was thinking during the winter time, I'll probably set this back over here where the areca palm was, and we'll throw some evergreens or something in it. I'll just try and make it look nice. I have various shrubs to pop around inside the container. And then for a centerpiece, I'll either end up using this weeping cherry here, which I think would be so pretty during the spring, but just not that much to look at during the winter time, right? Still a good structure though. And in a few years, you keep pruning on it hard, and get that thing to really thicken out and get lots and lots of little branches off of it. Then you can do all kinds of fun things with lights on them too. Could drop a rose in there, that might be nice. And then over here I have buried in there a blue cedar, an Atlas blue cedar that I need to bring out from all this mess. And I think that would, maybe I could do that right now. I don't have some shoes. I just popped out real quick because I was in the mood for some fresh air and I wanted to drill the rest of that container. I drilled the other pot last night and I was like, well, this is nice. I got to show everybody the step bit because it was working so well. So I waited until this morning. Then I was really excited this morning to get out here and drill that other container. Oh, it looks like the arb didn't make it through the summer in here. Well, there might still be a little bit of green in there. Maybe I'll do something with that. These things are the best containerized. Not if you want a lot of growth out of them, but this thing has never thrown a fit. I did not intentionally water this one time this summer. Not once. Maybe when I initially set everything up over here, I probably gave it a few really good drinks that first week or two. But otherwise, it has just sat here. We had a very long drought. So it's just been surviving off of whatever spray it got from the plants around it when I was watering those plants. And this was all on drip, so I didn't hand water these things very often. And this never got a drip. They tend to prefer to be more on the dry side. I think drip would have just killed it. I had a little pindu hanging out in there. Someday it will be bigger and I'll be able to see it better. And there's that cedar, a better look at it. Oh, look at the little cones. Those are cool. I don't know if I like them. Sort of worm looking. So these guys right here, it's just the glauca, Cedrus glauca. It has a full name. I don't know the full name on it. Just know it's a blue Atlas cedar. Atlantica. There we go. See, there's the picture. That's what it does. It's one of those. One of these beautiful guys. I got this thing for like $15 on clearance a couple years ago. It hasn't grown much because it's still in its nursery container. So it'd be smart to bump this up into a larger pot next spring. So it's been in this one for a few years now. They are super, super hardy. 0 to -10, so that's a zone 6. It even says non-hardy 1 to 5. Well, that's not that hardy. I thought they were way harder than that just based off of how well it's done in the container during the winters here. Guess it's just a tough plant. I have also had it up against this wall the last few years during the winter, and I think that wall might just be a really, really protected site. Come through here and have a look at it. I got just stuff to pick up from the storm the other day. Poor guy. Flip that guy up. And, oh. Okay, need to bring the blower out here. This mimosa's dropping some fronds, huh? I know they're leaves. I call them fronds sometimes because they look like fronds. So these two alpinias, they have endured 3 very hard freezes so far. And yeah, they don't look great, but it wasn't until the third one that they really started to look fairly bad. And I've kept that cedar in a container up against this wall right over here. So I think it's just a good sheltered spot. I'm on the fence about whether I want to put it in a container that's over here somewhere when I know that it's done pretty well over here. And it's had its roots protected too. So the pot that's in right now was inside of a larger pot that had a lot of soil in it. So that provides some protection. But still all up and exposed. Always better to be in the ground, right? I'll probably be repeating all that whenever I get around to doing the video about that and getting that plant potted up. New greenhouse is here. Eagle Peak. Want to have a look at it? I'm kind of curious. I'd like to see it. Wow, this is a lot bigger than the last one, isn't it? It's 12 by 8. The last one that I had was 8 by 8. And it certainly feels more sturdy. I'm apprehensive to do much with this because it'll probably be a while until I even need to set this up. Hopefully. I don't always set this up until I'm seeing forecasted temperatures below, like, I don't know, 20. That's for long spells, so like multiple days, where it's going to be below 20 Fahrenheit. People get frustrated sometimes when I don't give you the Celsius. But here's the deal. So It's a lot faster for you to just Google it than for me to stop recording, look it up, and resume recording. Or to stop what I'm doing, editing, look it up, type it in, and get back to editing. Like, you think that putting something up on the screen is quick. It's not a fast process. There's lots and lots of little buttons you gotta push.
6.67 degrees Celsius.
6.67, there you go. Long durations of temperatures well below freezing. I'm not gonna, I really want to set it up though, but I'm not going to. That really should probably be in its own video because I've never tried this one before. I know Eagle Peak is more of a actual brand than the ones that I set up last year. The one I set up last year was more of just like a proof of concept. I wanted to see if it was even something that I wanted to do out here. I had it set up right in this area, and I did like it. It did have a tendency to blow away, so I'm going to have to weigh this down a lot better, which should be interesting. So I had sandbags piled all around it to hold it down, and that still wouldn't do it. I'm not drilling into the concrete to hold it down. That is an option, but it's not one that I'm really interested in. I'm going to set it up in here. Like I said, it's 12 by 8, so it's 4 feet longer than the one I had in here last year. And I'm going to try and set it up so that these two containers are inside of it and probably weighing down the flap, and the pond will be in it too. So it's probably going to go like right along this edge. I'll likely need to move this guy and set it somewhere. Maybe put it inside of it. I don't know. I like to keep it looking as nice as possible because you're really not supposed to have those things. We have an HOA and they're pretty strict about those things. But last year nobody complained, so I'm just going to try and make sure it looks nice. I'm going to put plants around it and, you know, just hopefully it'll work out. And that way I don't have to break down this pond either. I can just give it a scoot and keep it inside there. That'll help provide some humidity. Water holds on to heat a lot longer than air does, right? So if this water stays warm, that will help heat the whole thing. I completely forgot to bring in these bamboo palms. There's bamboo palms back here. Well, look at that. They're fine. There's a reason I love bamboo palms. They're very sturdy plants. They've taken multiple hard freezes now. Right by the water with the wall behind them, though. So that makes a difference. Can I just set the frame up to just see what 12 by 8 looks like? You know, you can measure things out, but that's never the same as actually seeing it in person. And these things, they slide out so easily. No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait because then I have to put it all back and start over if I put it in a video so people can see what the whole thing looks like. So I'm just going to stop. Plants that I'll be keeping in the greenhouse are going to be things like, well, the Chinese fan palms. I don't know how they're going to do in there. Right, so the one I had last year, coldest, it got down to 15 degrees in there one night, and that's when we were around 0 outside. And I had lights and the heater in there and everything. So there's only so much you can do with that thin plastic. And they're predicting this winter is going to be very, very, very cold. So I'm just assuming this will probably be the year that the laurel hedge bites the dust. And I don't know if it's the year to experiment with these in a greenhouse, but I'm going to try it. I have heat cables I'll put around the pots, and then can pull the foliage up nice and tight. May even prune a lot of the foliage off of them. Pull it up nice and tight, wrap Christmas lights around the interior in there, and then do a foil wrap around the rest of it. Keep it nice and tight through those really cold spells. I didn't know. Now, had I known that this is what I was going to be doing with these when I bought them, I would have potted them in these containers. They're not potted in these containers. They're in a pot that's similar to the size of the container, but not quite. But, well, I mean, that's actually probably better in the long run, because getting them through this winter outside is going to be it's a long shot, but I'm going to try. Nice thing about Chinese fan palm, though, is their roots are very, very hardy. So the main thing is that I want to keep the containers from freezing if possible. So even if everything up top dies back, you give them a lot of fertilizer and a lot of sun, they'll pop back up. They won't be looking like this anytime soon after that happens, but it's nice to know that they can do that. So those are going to be in there. I want to make sure that this pond is in there. I would like to... I can't have two different water features in there, can I? 'Cause ideally, I'll be able to set this up in a way that it comes down with like the back wall being right here, right in this spot. It might mean I need to move this, and this isn't very easy to move. It's very difficult to move this, so I don't know if that's going to work out quite right. Because I'm not going to want the wall of the greenhouse to be too close to this lamp, although it might help hold it in place. Things to think about. I'm talking about the plants that go inside of it, though. So things like the Poinsettia. That will go in there. All of my little windmill palms, I'm going to try and keep those in there. If we have extreme cold snaps, I'm talking where we go below 0 Fahrenheit, which, hold on.
17.78 degrees Celsius.
It's probably not something I'm going to stay in the habit of doing. Since I was thinking about it, there you go. Negative 17.7 something Celsius. Then all those little windmill palms and small tender plants, I'll just pull inside. Because when we do go below zero, it doesn't usually last for very long. Although it was just a few years ago, we had one night that was, I think, -8, and then a -12, and then a -13, then a -10, and then like a -4, and it was like a good, I don't know, maybe week to week and a half where we were below zero, or at negative 17 point whatever Celsius. With the little delicate plants, that's what I'll do. Everything else, I'll just pile in there. The crab apple's not going in there, right? I mean, they're good to -4. They're just going to have to tough it out. There are things you can do to protect the pots. They're already against the house. I'm not all that concerned about those. But things like boxwoods and, I don't know, maybe a Washingtonia. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to leave the Washingtonias out for too much longer. I want them to take some frost and some freeze, but I don't want them to take that kind of cold. That will kill them. Because if it's below zero out here, then I just imagine that in the greenhouse might be able to keep it at like 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe. I'm also going to order an extra large, huge tarp to put over this so I can double layer it when we have those types of temperatures. When it's going to go to around zero, can throw another tarp over it to help insulate it even more. And then I think I will try an actual heater instead of just using lights and heat cables like I did last year. I may go ahead and put a real heater in there. I don't know, it just makes me nervous. They're so prone to tripping the breakers, and I would much rather have things that are reliable and have a more mild heat to them than using something that might trip the breaker and then there'd be no heat at all. Yeah, the little windmills and those things. If I have any opinions left out here, you know what I'm saying. The things that are like zone 8 plants and zone 7 plants, those are the things I'll leave outside and they'll go in the greenhouse during the winter time. I might try the olive in it. I don't know. I mean, the olive makes a fine houseplant. They're so just undemanding of moisture that they do well in the house. So I'll probably just take this guy inside, but it would be an option. Oh, the oleander, that'll go in there as well. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have any akubas. Done away with those. I don't think there's anything left yet. It's just going to be shrubs and tree. Anything that I'm overwintering. Yeah, you get it. We can dive more into that when the time comes to set it up, which will probably be in a few weeks. Just love this guy. He's looking so good. I was just over here looking to see if there's anything else that would go in or that I should talk about. I was just admiring the leather leaf viburnum here. Look at what a beautiful shrub that is. I'm so glad I put that in. So imagine, this will go good 10 feet. Be nice and big. I have to keep it pruned so that this path is still open. This path can be manipulated to come over further this way. Evergreen, mostly. They get a curl and a droop to them during the winter time to protect themselves, but still, I mean, they don't lose all their leaves, which is great. Half a battery is all I had left in that thing, and I got that entire hill taken care of. What I do with the first load of leaves is I try and blow them into the berm here and just let that be mulch for everything. I don't always do that. It depends on how bad the pests have been that year. Pests on the houseplants were pretty bad, but I did not have many issues in the trees or anything like that. So the first round of leaves goes up in here as a mulch, and then whatever falls later, well, that's just going to get bagged up and taken away. The oak, it drops leaves all winter long, but that first round happens usually by like mid to late December, and it'll have maybe, I don't know, 30% left on it. Same with the maple. I try and bring them in here. The downside to doing that is that I have to go in and occasionally, give them a fluff. Oak and maple, their leaves tend to mat together and hold on to a ton of moisture. So they're never my go-to when it comes to trying to insulate plants, because they can really just end up walking in water. And I only have ever had bad luck doing it with oak and maples, mulching with oak and maples, that is. Unless I remember to come in and give them a fluff probably every 3 weeks or so. And it's not a lot. You just go in just with a rake. You can just go and just give them a fluff. That makes a big difference. I got all the mimosa stuff blown in here. The mimosa, I don't know why anybody would ever rake up mimosa leaves. They break down so incredibly fast. Within, I'd say, 2 weeks, you won't even know that this is full of mimosa leaves. And it's thick, too. real thick layer of them. That's my kind of foliage, the kind that you can just throw into the garden. It breaks down really, really fast. I like that. And really, from my experience, it's mostly just oak, maple, and magnolia, where their leaves do that thing where they mat up and they get really wet and just gross, and they take a long time to break down. And that could just be climate related too. Maybe they break down really fast for you guys. You have to let me know. I also have to take into account that we have a storm sewer in this backyard. And it's always best if you are right by a water runoff source to try and clear your leaves, because all that junk goes down to the water, ends up being in the city's water, and it's just, you know, then they have to handle it, and they usually don't handle it well. It's one of the reasons we have a higher TDS here during the fall and winter. But, you know, I know for the sake of the insects and everything, I try to not bag and dispose of all of the leaves. I, you know, try and do my best to keep some of them pulled into the garden, and then just the rest, it just has to go somewhere else. Those oak trees are just huge. The trees in my front yard, I just sweep all that stuff right into the garden bed. It breaks down, and then I don't have to worry about winter mulching. Makes things very nice. Oh, I need to get mulch. Forgot about that. I will never, ever use oak or maple leaves to protect bananas or any of those things. Like I said, they just form these sheets of just soggy wetness that doesn't break down unless you want to fluff it a lot. I like to use real mulch, like actual hardwood mulch. So I need, what, for the banana, the ginger, the other ginger, the sable palms. Probably get like a pallet, probably. Just a square yard would be fine. If you have a leaf shredder, that would be amazing. I would like to get a leaf shredder, actually. I think that would be awesome to just be able to take the leaves, toss them into the thing, and let just shoot the shredded leaves out into the garden. Oh, that would be so great. So good for the soil. I think that might defeat the whole purpose of not disposing of your leaves, because, you know, that there's that whole movement, and there's a lot of truth to it, total truth to it, that insects rely on the overwintering foliage. So that's something to keep in mind. That's one of the reasons I try to just scrape as much of it into the garden bed as I can, but you can only do so much, right? I can't just leave it out in the lawn, because the lawn will die-ish. It's more that it gets mucky and wet in the dog poop, and the dog slips around, and it's hard for me to find the dog poop. It's a matter of convenience. Selfishness. We'll just own up to it. I don't want to. But I try and hold on to as much of it as I can. It's good for the insects, and it's good for the soil, and yeah, all that fun stuff. Hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to get much else done, so let's just wrap it up. The things that I was working on were loud things where I couldn't really take you along using the blower, and I used the power washer and whatnot, trying to keep things cleaned up. That storm really messed up the backyard the other day. But thanks for hanging out while I got these guys potted up and got some of the Christmas and holiday things handled, and we got to talk a bunch too, things that I haven't thought about in a while, you know, winter gardening things. I do need to get something to top dress these with and get on that. But hey, I hope everybody's doing well, having a great day, great life, and it's just going absolutely beautiful for you. Oh, did y'all get to see the northern lights? It was beautiful. You don't see those down in St. Louis very often, and this is the only time I've ever seen them where they were like bright, bright, bright. It was beautiful. Only time other than this where I've been able to see the northern lights was up north. It didn't look the same down here. It's just a peak cue to the sky, but it was cool. Been enjoying the heat wave. I think it's a mix. Some people are getting a heat wave. That's us, and other people it's like freakishly cold. Yeah, we're gonna have several more months of that coming up. Like I said, as always, the most important, everybody, keep on growing. Bye bye.